Hello and welcome. In this video I'll be showing you how to cold start the Anubis C-130J Hercules mod for DCS. This is version 6.8.2, latest version out at the moment, so I'll leave the link for the download in the description. Taking a look around the cockpit, you can see there's nothing live at all, as is with the outside. All the doors are open, etc, etc. So go back in the cockpit and just show you some controls that you may want to set up for this section. So cargo hold, I've got the cargo ramp doors on a rocker switch on my throttle, as with the paratroop doors and the crew entrance door. Also I've got my flight controls, my flaps set up, as with everything else, with trimming, all your basic flight controls, but obviously you've got the few special ones. So you've got countermeasures. If you've got a way of doing ground control, you can set up a steering wheel type device for ground taxiing. Obviously your landing gear, things like that. I tend to use the rudders for nose wheel steering. You might want to set a button up for your JTOW, and your different stations are labelled there, if you want to know how to get to the different stations. And then you're going to want to set, well, I've set throttles to from flight to beta full reverse using a slider switch on my throttle on my X56. Basically what that will do is when I slide it, it will put the aircraft into full reverse thrust, allowing me to manipulate that slightly to get into the beta stage of the engines to allow low speed ground idle. That's really important when we come to taxiing the aircraft, but that will be in another video. This is just purely start up in this video. So yeah, if you want to set up battle station for dropping bombs, firing the guns, if you're wanting to do an AC-130, battle station is where you'll set all that up. And then obviously you've got your access commands. Mine's just the normal. I have a zoom on the top of my throttle. I've got wheel brakes on my rudder pedals. I don't use both of my throttle controls. I just have it assigned to one. Obviously rudders there, and you want to set your pitch and roll, and you may want to add a bit of curve to it, of which I've forgotten to do, but I'll show you there. 20 on that one. My rudder pedals are a little old, so you usually set that to about 25, and that just stops the movement from the controls being a little bit erratic, just to smooth it out. Nice gentle turns, things like that. Right, so we'll jump back in the cockpit and we'll get the thing started, because obviously that's what you're here for, not to hear me babble on about controls. So if we look up to the overhead panel, to the right here, we'll have battery on off. If you right click that, you'll see that we've got 23.8 volts on the battery, not running off of external power, off APU, or out of generators, because the engines aren't started. Now we're going to get the APU started, so come over to this section. I'm going to select APU, so right click down here, and this is your APU start switch. Double click, hold down on the second one until the green light comes on, let go. So the RPMs are building now on the APU. Now while that's doing that, we will close the cockpit windows, right clicking each one. Don't forget to do that, because once you're up in the air they do not close. I'm still waiting for that to build. We can set our taxi lights. There are no nav lights or strobes or beacon lights. Unfortunately at the moment it's just landing lights and taxi lights. So if we go outside, you can see I've switched on the taxi lights. Everything's come to life via the APU, and now we will get up to this section here, bleed air, and you'll see a little square. Right click that to open it, and now we're going to bleed some air off the APU to get the engines turning. So that'll go to a maximum of 40. Once it hits 40 we can now start our engines, and that's these start switches here. So again it's a double right click, hold down on the second time until the green light comes on, and then let go. So click hold, green light is on. So you'll see that the pressure drops. You have to wait for the pressure to build up to 40 again before you can start the next engine. If you don't do that, then everything just ceases to just all stops. So double right click and hold on a second again, and you see that the pressure's dropped again, so wait for that to build up. Ping 40, so we can start our third engine. Double right click, hold, green light, and you'll see that as we're drawing air off of the other engines, that the pressure doesn't drop on that one, so you can start the fourth one without any issues. There we go. Now we're just going to wait for the engines to reach full idle power, and then we can come off of the APU. While that's doing that, I will click here, left click, sorry, and bring down the HUD. So yeah, I've got all our info on there. And what do we need to do now? We can raise our flaps, so bring the lever up, so flaps are up. And now we need to do the cargo door. The problem being is there is no pressure in the rams at all, so we have to switch on the auxiliary pump. So right click, wait for that to build up to 3000, and now we have all engines running. We can now close the left click on that to close the bleed air, come back down here, right click to stop the APU, and then right click there to come off of the APU switch. Okay, so still waiting for the pressure to build up. As you can see, anti-skid is already on, so don't have to worry about that. And there we go, switch on dome lights, get a bit of brightness in here. Okay, so now we have 3001 on there, so right click to switch off the auxiliary pump. We go outside. Now you can either use the switch down here to close the ramp door. You can also use it in the cargo hold, which is situated here right next to me, so you can click there to raise it, or I've got it, as I said before, I've got it assigned to a switch on my HOTAS. So there we go, we've got the ramp door closed now. You can see it uses a bit of pressure there, but we can stick the pumps back on again to build that pressure up, and then we shouldn't have any issues. So if we jump back into the cockpit, okay, so we have all our instruments up and running, got the HUD down, we've got 27.8 volts running off the engine generators. But I tell a lie, the generators don't actually kick in on the proper aircraft until you move the throttle out of idle up to a certain percentage of RPM. So most of this stuff wouldn't really be online because the generator would not be obviously generating enough power to to bring the systems online, but we're going to set it up so that we can taxi. So if you remember the button that I set up for from flight through beta to full reverse, if I slide that now, you're watching these here, and it's gone straight into full reverse. Now if I throttle forward slightly, and that puts it into the beta, we'll click left click these, sorry, and now we are in low speed ground idle, so we can now taxi without being drawn to the left, as it generates quite a bit of torque steer. And you should only really encounter that on the takeoff roll, only till you get to about 70 knots, and then it starts to behave itself and head in a straight line. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're up and running. We've got everything up and running. We've got the HUD, got the engines running, APU shut down, all doors are closed, flaps are up. Oh, tell a lie, my paratrooper doors are still open. We'll close those. Okay, so the aircraft, I'm sure I closed all those. Everything is now closed, and we're basically good to roll. And this is just in the basic transport variant. That's not, any specialist equipment to get ready. So yeah, we've got all the controls, and we're ready for the next stage, which would be taxi to the active. But that's for another video. So I hope that's helped. Shouldn't be any issues with this version 6.8.2. No exploding on the runway or any weird and wonderful surprises like that. So with that, I will say thank you for watching, and take care, and I'll see you in the next one.